Well, hey friends, it's me, Pastor Doug, with another word of encouragement for the day, for today, Wednesday, May 18th. This week, we are continuing to explore perhaps one of Jesus's most famous sections of teaching called the Sermon on the Mount, which we find in the book of Matthew, chapter 5, 6, and 7. This week, we're looking specifically at a section of that Sermon on the Mount where Jesus deals with something pretty universal, something that all of us struggle with to varying degrees. And that is the issue of anger, the issue of resentment and unforgiveness. And so today what I want to do is I want to look at a passage out of Ephesians chapter 4, verses 31 and 32, where the Apostle Paul is writing to a group of Christians living in the ancient city of Ephesus, and he instructs them this way. He says, "Get rid of all bitterness, rage, and anger." Let me say that again. Get rid of all bitterness, rage, and anger, brawling and slander, along with every form of malice. He says, "Be kind and compassionate to one another, forgiving each other just as in Christ God forgave you." I want to point out just two quick things about this verse. We could kind of go through and look at each one of those words and explore what they mean, but I want to point out two things, something that he says at the beginning of this section and something that he says at the end. At the beginning, he uses this phrase, get rid of, and the Greek word there literally means to throw off or to get rid of, to toss out, to get as far away from as possible. Our fence blew down last year. We had some really heavy winds. Our fence blew down, and so we did this fence rebuilding project. We rebuilt a couple of our neighbors' fences and rebuilt our fence. And so I've got some pickets in the backyard that are just kind of laid out, some wood that's laid there that we've been using for firewood. Well, there's kind of a pile in the corner. And I was moving it the other day, and there were all kinds of spiders inside, like little baby spiders and big spiders and black widows and the whole thing. And one started crawling up my arm. Well, I did what you probably would do. Like I shook it off, right? And got rid of it as quickly as I could. I mean, it was a visceral reaction. As soon as I looked at it and saw it and felt it crawling up my arm, there was this like revulsion and trying to get it off as quickly as I could. That's kind of the image that Paul wants us to see here as it relates to bitterness and resentment and anger and rage. It's like we need to get rid of that out of our lives the same way that we would get rid of a spider that's crawling up on our arm, right? With this revulsion, with this visceral reaction of like, get away from me, right? But too often, so many of us carry it around. We nurse that anger. We nurse that resentment. We take that spider and instead of flicking it away, we put it in our pocket, right? We carry it around in case we need it to fuel some sort of reaction or response. And Paul is saying, no, get rid of that. And then he frames this instruction with something so powerful at the end of this section. He says, forgive one another just as in Christ God forgave you. So all of this that we're talking about when it comes to anger, when it comes to resentment, when it comes to frustration towards people, when it comes to forgiving others, all of it is framed not by this is what you need to do to be a good Christian. It's all framed by this is what we have already received from God. And so we're simply extending to others what he has already extended to us. So friends, I hope this encourages you today. Have a great day, and we'll see you tomorrow.